Growing an audience online is incredibly simple, but it gets overcomplicated by incredibly confusing tactics, way too much advice out there to consume, people who preach but don't practice, and the list goes on. And when it comes to growing an audience from zero for a business owner, it does not come from posting a ton of content on social media and hoping the algorithm gods will bless you one day by being seen by people who actually want to buy your products. You are in complete control of growing an audience and also monetizing your audience. Regardless of the platform you want to use or the kind of content you want to create, the fundamentals of growing an audience online is exactly the same across the board. It's really based on the concept of having an ideal consumer in mind, creating relevant content for that ideal consumer, which then allows the algorithm to actually categorize you and know who you're trying to reach, which then allows it to leverage its internal traffic sources to show you to more people like that. That is the engine that fuels organic audience growth online. But most people approach growing an audience online in this way. It's what we call the marketing hamster wheel. Creating random content, posting on social media without a strategy, which leads to crickets, and more random content creation. And it creates a never-ending cycle and a never-ending hamster wheel that you just can't get off. So what I'm going to share in this video applies to anyone who wants to grow an audience and ultimately monetize that audience. But for me particularly, I have been doing this for a very long time, and I help people grow online education businesses. So taking their expertise, packaging it into highly impactful and scalable online course businesses, and growing them leveraging online marketing. If that sounds interesting to you, I have a whole free masterclass that I've created. If you comment below with masterclass, I'll be sure to send you the direct link. So whether you have an existing audience, but you aren't able to monetize it, or want to build an audience from scratch, this video is going to be helpful for you. I talked about this in last week's video, but in order to grow an audience that's actually monetizable, then you need to have a clear roadmap and start with the offer first. So this is not talking about monetizing through things like AdSense or brand deals or anything like that. It's actually monetizing through creating a product or an offer or a service. So let's revisit that roadmap of what it takes to create a true business online. So you first and foremost have to start with the offer and identify the ideal client who needs that offer. Then you have clear messaging and marketing, which generates leads and ultimately sales. If you want to get really clear on how to create the offer and the ideal client, definitely check out last week's video. In this video, we're really going to focus on the messaging factor because oftentimes this gets done wrong. And we want to attract the right audience for your business. And I want you to keep in mind, I started from zero. Every single person online starts from zero. So if you're starting from zero right now, you're in good company and you can only go up from here. And truly, the greatest misconception is that a big audience leads to a big income, when in fact, the right audience leads to a big income. And that could be as small as 70 people. When I say that because I actually just recently spoke to one of my clients who turned an audience of 70 people into over $200,000 in revenue in her business. And this goes back to a well-known concept that I always like to reference. It's called 1,000 true fans. It says, to be a successful creator, you don't need millions. You don't need millions of dollars or millions of customers, millions of clients, or millions of fans. To make a living as a craftsperson, photographer, musician, designer, author, animator, app maker, entrepreneur, or inventor, you only need thousands of true fans. And it goes on to say, if you're only able to earn $50 per year per true fan, then you only need 2,000 to generate $100,000 per year. Likewise, if you can only sell $200 per year, you only need 500 true fans. Or you may only need $75K per year to live on, so you would just adjust downwards. Knowing the numbers and knowing what you actually need to achieve your financial targets and objectives is so important before you even start the process of audience growth. So you don't get distracted by viral tactics or trying to grow the biggest audience possible when it's not necessary. And here's the great news. Guaranteed, your first 100 followers, subscribers, fans are absolutely the hardest to get. Once you get past that 100 mark, everything becomes easier because you have built-in authority of already having that audience there. And that makes people more and more apt to want to be in your community. So let's talk about the 3 things that any algorithm needs in order to show you to more of your true fans, true followers, true ideal clients. Number 1, who are you serving? Number 2, what are you serving them with? And number 3, do they care? Are they engaged? To be successful on social media, you have to have clear intent as to why you're using the platform so that the algorithm starts to work for you. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the authority before audience strategy. So where do you start? You start by being in control of your audience growth and doing the groundwork to attract the right people. So once you know who you want to serve and how you want to serve them, you just need to find them. Let's say, for example, you want to create an online course that helps people learn how to play jazz guitar. You would go to every source possible where people learning or wanting to learn how to play jazz guitar are hanging out. So to give you some ideas of where you can start sourcing these folks out online, listen to these prompts. Simply type the topic of your offer into the Google search bar. See the results that come up. Type it into YouTube. Look at the channels that are talking about this. Look at the comment sections of those channels. Search your category on Amazon. Find the top selling books, the chapters in these books, and the reviews on these books. You want to look at both the best and the worst reviews to get real insight into who your ideal client is and what they need. You want to seek out Facebook groups where your ideal client is hanging out. You want to identify the influencers and the thought leaders in your space and start hanging out on those accounts, meaning get involved in the comments section, provide value. I'm going to talk more about this in a second. You want to look at places like Instagram, where you can look up profiles and hashtags where your ideal client is hanging out. Things like LinkedIn, TikTok, Reddit forums, podcasts, and even things like virtual summits or offline, where your clients would be seeking out a solution, spending their money, or going to seek out more information on the topic that you're going to provide help with when it comes to your business or your online offering. From there, it's pretty simple. You're going to build authority before you even have an audience. How do you do that? Two very simple ways. Number one, you're going to provide valuable comments and support to the people in those places. That is how you build authority from scratch. You're also going to directly communicate with people you can help. What I mean by that is you start actually DMing with these people. Building deep relationships in the beginning is what leads you to building the base of your audience. Whether that's your first 50 people or your first 100, it builds a strong, focused base of your ideal people. And yes, I know this sounds like a big effort. If you want to actually create a big business, it's required. I would do this for 20 minutes a day, every single day at the beginning of my business. And that business has now grown to a place where we have a team all around the world. We have generated multiple 8 figures, and it started with doing this simple exercise. Add value, provide your authority, provide your intellect, help people. That's as simple as it gets. And you want to think about it. Every single person that you speak to is potentially a client for your business and someone you can have a big impact on. That matters. And when you have an offer that you're ultimately maybe pricing at a premium, which is what we work with our clients on, we have them price their offers at a premium, so no less than $500, you can create a very consistent and solid income from just a few conversations. We like to say relationships lead to revenue, and this is just step one of this process. For example, let's say that you connect with 20 people in a month, that's less than one person a day, and 5 of those people become clients at $1,000 each. That's $5,000 for about 20 minutes a day of effort, which means low commitment and high reward. And once you start to get eyeballs on you, what you do, your expertise, because you are providing value and you're putting yourself out there, you're not sitting back and hoping people follow you, because that's not how it works. Then you start to trigger the algorithm working for you. So remember the flywheel. You have your ideal consumer, you start attracting their eyeballs, you start creating relevant content, which allows the algorithm to categorize you and the authority that you are, which then helps it trigger its internal traffic sources to reach more people like that. So let me give you a real world example. Let's say you're creating that jazz guitar course. Your ideal client is a beginner jazz player. You're creating a piece of content about mastering a specific song. The algorithm that identifies you as an authority on this topic, your content is now being shown organically to more beginner jazz guitar players, which drives more people to your account and to your content. And by actually starting to now create content because you have a base of an audience, you can now test what works and what doesn't work to create engagement and to ultimately turn those strangers into clients for your business. The most important factors to creating content that's actually going to convert and engage your ideal client, it has to either solve their problems, answer their burning questions, or speak to their desires and dreams when it comes to the result that they're seeking. So test at this stage. You're in the beginning stages, there is low risk because you don't have this massive audience that you're trying to appease. You're in a great area of being able to test and prove what kind of content works. And data is now going to become your best friend. Data determines growth. So monitor your metrics because that is going to inform what kind of content is actually reaching the right people and engaging the right people. So then you want to double down and focus on that kind of content to create even faster growth. And beyond just the numbers of things like retention or impressions and analytics like that, or likes, subscriber count, etc., you also want to look at qualitative data as well. What that means is what posts are getting the most in-depth comments, what posts are leading to people reaching out to you directly via direct message. That's a really good indication as well of the kind of content that you're creating that is actually really working for your ideal consumer, which in turn is only going to attract more of them. And this puts you in the driver's seat. Once you know what your audience ultimately likes, you can create more of that content. And this is where you start to really control the algorithm versus the algorithm controlling you. When you know what your audience likes, you can cater to that because you actually know what to create. And then comes into play the content scaling funnel. So what the content scaling funnel does is it allows you to reach different people at different places on their journey that you want to attract into your community, who are either going to be immediate clients or buyers, or they're going to be clients and buyers at a later date. So what the content scaling funnel looks like is this. The top of the funnel content tends to be around broad or beginner or surface level content. Think about it as an easy entry point for someone who is at the beginning stages of just being interested in finding your product, your offer, your solution that you have. So this is really to turn strangers into friends and people who actually know who you are and what you do online. So you can nurture them into eventually becoming a client or consumer. The middle of the funnel content is slightly more advanced content for someone who's familiar with what you do and why they might need your help, but they're not in a lot of pain or urgency quite yet. And then the bottom of the funnel content is hyper-specific content to your ideal client and relevant to exactly what their pain points are at the time that they need the solution that you offer. And the way to think about this visually is the top of the funnel is really for somebody who's kind of standing on the side of a pool, looking at it, wondering if they really want to jump in. The middle of the funnel content is someone who's dipping their toes in and is interested and is almost there, but not quite. And the bottom of the funnel content is for somebody who's in the fast lane, ready and running towards getting the solution that they need. So you need to know that you need to meet your ideal client at the place that they're at on their journey. And there's oftentimes those 3 different levels. And so you need to know that the top of the funnel content is going to bring in eyeballs, but not necessarily sales quite yet, because it's going to take a longer time to nurture those folks. The middle of the funnel content is going to nurture and educate people to become a buyer eventually. And the bottom of the funnel content is going to speak directly to that person when they are at the right place to become a consumer. And then this is where things get really exciting. You create the audience ownership trifecta. So you've started to build your audience on social media, you're delivering relevant content to that audience. And from there, in the middle of that trifecta is your email list. Because if you can create something that you own, it allows you to be a Swiss Army knife in the online space. And it allows you complete longevity regardless of platform changes, algorithm changes, trends, etc. You now have an audience that you own. And what's really beautiful about this is then when you create pieces of content on your main social media platform, you can actually use your email list to notify them about it and push those people to that content, which guess what? Boosts you in the algorithm and gives you a complete unfair advantage. So this is why it's better to have 1,000 true fans. It's better to have a small, highly engaged audience than a broad audience who doesn't care. Because when you have a broad audience that doesn't care, you will kill any momentum you could have online and put yourself in a position to constantly be on that hamster wheel of creating random content, posting on social media without a strategy, hearing crickets on your content, being frustrated and stuck, and then just creating more content in hopes of one day it's sticking and actually converting. So remember, it all starts with clarity on what you're offering and who you're offering it to, which leads to really clear messaging and marketing, which leads to generating actual leads and traffic in your business that is going to convert into sales. So like I said, this applies to any business, but if you are someone who wants to take your expertise and your skill set and package it into a highly scalable online course business, that's what we do. So you can comment below with the word masterclass and we'll send you the direct link, and you can also find the link below in the pinned comment. Also be sure to comment below with your takeaways from the video. It truly is my love language. I want to know that what I'm doing is truly helping, so please do be sure to share those in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for new videos on Tuesdays, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.